Hey, Justin. Oh, let's see. I think you're muted, maybe. There. Can you hear me? Hey, Princess. Um, did you want to sit in the room over there? Okay. Can you hear me, Justin? Yeah, I can't hear you, though. I'll be right back, okay? Why don't you try to work that out? Let me see. Well, if it's just you. I don't know how to do this Zoom stuff very well. But yeah, here. It's so comfortable. Sorry for the mess here. So
Can you hear me now?
there, I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, I had to change the mic to the actual camera, so I think this will work better than on my phone.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't use this that often. I usually use my phone, so I think I had to reset it.
Okay.
I think, is this okay? I mean,
Yeah, no, it's good.
it's not the best room.
I know.
Light's kind of bad right now.
I know this Zoom thing. How are you?
Good. How you been?
Good. Hey, this is Princess Flanders. She's one of our
Hey.
students.
Hey.
And I told them that they wanted to just sit in rather than watching it on their phone, you know.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah,
Perfect.
Princess
Okay,
is
that'll work.
This is
I'll try to get this down a little more. But yeah, I just my computer's up in the room. I don't have a laptop, so it's just gonna be kind of backlit if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Still see your face, so.
All right. Sounds good. You know, you don't want to see too much of that, Zach.
Justin, I don't know. You're not getting too much glare, are you here?
So I guess, Princess, do you have any questions right now? Like, I know we haven't started anything, but feel free to.
Yeah, this is the whole point. Is this a very informal thing?
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of introduced this, but what I find is that for a lot of you guys, you just don't really get a lot of exposure to different people like Justin. And so if I can bring you guys together and, you know, you can feel comfortable just to ask questions, you know. But Princess is an animal, biology person.
Yeah, I'm in biology, but Essie's trying to become a veterinarian.
Oh, she's trying to become a vet.
All right. Have you looked into like working at a practice or volunteering at all? Have you done any of that yet?
No, I haven't did any volunteering for one yet, but I really do want to, because I want to really make sure that I could do the things that, as a vet, like I'm not scared to like cut or open an animal and do surgery and all of that stuff.
Right.
And actually like could do it without being weak on the stomach or something. But I haven't had a chance to do it.
Exactly. So yeah, the best way to learn is to you know, kind of observe. If you could get a job, that's good, but sometimes volunteering is better because you can actually be free to watch versus if you're working, they're going to ask you to clean things. You may not be able to watch things because you actually have to do tasks, maybe you know, work with clients. And so what I used to do is when I was in school, I would just volunteer. And I took a year off between undergrad and vet school and worked at a clinic, which, you know, I had to work. I still got to learn, but I actually learned more when I was volunteering, if that makes sense. And it's something where at the University of Georgia, I even went to the vet school. They had a pre-vet club. You can reach out to them. You're not far. I mean, I'm sure they'd be glad to have you at a meeting. Just let them know, you know, you're at another school, but you'd like to introduce yourself and kind of get used to, you know, what the school is like in Athens. And that kind of helped me as well when I was in school, because I went for undergraduate UGA and they had a pre-vet club. And fortunately, you know, there's a vet school there as well. So it kind of all worked out. But
so let me ask you, Justin, what did that pre-vet club offer to you that was helpful? Was that because I've tried to facilitate students getting together in a group and supporting
Mhm.
each other and bringing information together. Like what kind of things could you see a group, even if it's just an informal group, what kind of things could
Right.
you do to support each other?
Well, the best thing was they had a veterinarian that was at UGA. He was a clinician. He was large animal, but he would facilitate,
Mm.
I guess, talks where clinician would come in, maybe go over a specific topic, and then through Dr. Mueller, who was the advisor for the group, I was able to ask him if I could actually come volunteer at the school. And it's just a good way to kind of get to know people at the school because I don't know if they do, I don't think they do any interviews at UGA. So, a good way to kind of get them to know you is to kind of get your foot in the door. So, be proactive about it. It may
Right.
have changed, but from last I heard, they still don't do interviews. It's highly competitive. So, anything you can do to
Mhm.
give you a little edge, like maybe even meet some of the clinicians there.
Mhm.
If you're lucky enough, I know the dean goes to the tailgates. You can,
Uh-huh.
kind of introduce yourself to some people there.
Yeah.
But it's something where I think grades are one thing, experience is another, and then that extra would be just getting to know the people there so they know who you are.
Mhm.
And so when they're looking at your application, they're like, oh, I know this person versus someone they don't.
Right.
That's going to give you a little bit of an edge, and it's highly competitive. So any edge you can get, you want to take.
Mhm.
And so it's something that I don't know how to get you on a UGA listserv, but it's something where I might be able to reach out to one of the people at the school to see if there is a way. I'd have to ask if there's a way, especially with COVID, if there's a way they might be able to Zoom it and let you in on it. So it might actually be easier now with COVID because they do Zoom meetings. But again, it's something that I don't know all the logistics to that, but
Right.
it's something that, you know, I think there should be a way where you should be able to, hopefully via Zoom or some other way, maybe even internet. I mean, I kind of even just emailed, I'll do cold turkey emails. Just someone, look, I'm a interested student. It's a lot better if you show the initiative. Be like, look, I just want to get to know some of the people at the school, see what it's like. So when I do apply, I know, what I'm kind of getting into and
Yeah.
that sort of deal. And
Yeah.
to show, just kind of express your interest. And I would just try to get as much experience with all kinds of medicine. So not just small animal. They look for someone that's done some large animal. And also the pre-vet club let me do that because I went to the school to do that with Dr. Mueller. I got to see some horse castrations and some physical exams on some cows, things that you typically don't get in Metro Atlanta. So, it's another thing too. It might be good to reach out maybe to a large animal. And if you need help facilitate, I can help you do that. But I think the best thing is to take it on yourself with initiative because that shows that you're trying
Mhm.
and that you're willing to take the little extra that maybe some of these other applicants aren't.
Yeah.
So
I'm just gonna check over in this other room real quick. To
sounds
make
good.
sure nobody's over there.
All right. So I guess is everyone going to meet in this room here, or are we going to be moving? Do you know?
Okay. We're good.
We're good?
No, we said stay here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
Welcome,
Okay.
Malia and Shelby and Olivia.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys want to turn your cameras on and then we can see everybody. I know the Zoom thing is a little impersonal, but I really appreciate Justin joining us here. I met Justin a few years back through my work with pine snakes and just found him to be a very helpful, very knowledgeable guy. And so just as a way of introduction to the setting or the format here, that's one thing that we have to contend with here at Reinhardt is being a small place. Our students don't get exposed to a lot of different people working in different fields. I think even just to the knowledge that certain fields exist. So that's why we put together this series of speakers. And it's meant just to be a very informal thing, just to give students the skinny on different career field. So, so tell me, I read actually, Justin, I didn't realize this. You grew up in California?
Yep, I did. I was there first 10 years of my life. My
Okay.
dad worked at Lockheed, so that's what moved us out to Marietta.
Yeah,
So,
that's a
Lockheed,
surprising, a lot of people, that's the same story. They end up
right.
here because of
Yep.
Lockheed.
Yep. So I think they pretty much built the town of Marietta. Lockheed's huge. So,
Oh,
it's like, probably at one point, the biggest employer in Marietta was Lockheed.
okay.
But
And what's your job title now?
I'm an associate veterinarian at the veterinary clinic. Mostly work at the West location with a good friend of ours, Brad Wilson. And, we kind of met Zach through, again, like you were saying, through pine snake studies. We helped place transmitters into some other animals that, I think you still have some out there, right? That you're tracking.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, but it's something that it's a fun aspect of veterinary medicine, is that you don't have to be limited to just dogs, cats, large animals. You can expand to however far you want to go. So I always want to be involved with herpetology in some way, and still do on my free time, enjoy that aspect. It's something that with veterinary medicine, free time is hard to come by sometimes. It's a very demanding field. It's something that you've got to be sure you want to be dedicated to. The pay is not as good as, if you're going to go into a medical field with human medicine, or even if you want to be a pharmacist, they make more money, have more free time. So school's not as hard, but I think the most important thing is knowing that going into vet school is going to take a lot of work, and the work doesn't end once you graduate. It just gets a little harder from there. So it's something that volunteering, working at a clinic, these are all things that help. Volunteering, I think, gets you more ability to watch and observe and some freedom, versus if you're working, you may not be able to do all that because they expect you to do tasks.
Right.
But both aspects are good.
I guess because they're paying you, they want you to do what be
correct
best for them, rather than if you're volunteering.
Exactly.
You can be there for what you are trying to get out of it.
Yeah. And then, one thing is, my first job, I was like, I think 15 or 16. I was at a vet clinic, and my first job was kennel work, doing just cleaning up poop, cleaning up cages.
Yeah.
I had friends making a lot more money working at Publix. This is in high school, bagging groceries, a lot easier. And I remember my first week, we had a parvo outbreak in the kennel, and I had to clean everything because someone let a parvo puppy back that, wasn't showing symptoms till 2 days later. That's a virus that's just very contagious. That's why you want to vaccinate your pets. But anyway.
Lots of bloody diarrhea, right?
Vomiting, bloody diarrhea. And then I had to disinfect like everything with bleach, including the runs outside. And I tell you that, I start from the bottom, and that's the best way to learn, because I think you need to know that your assistants, your technicians, they put in a lot of work. So it's really important that as a veterinarian, you appreciate that. I've run into vets that don't treat their technicians or staffs very well. And I think a lot of them never actually had the experience of having to do what they had to do, like hold animals, clean up, So these are all things that as a doctor, regardless of what you do, you've always got to have that level of respect. That's beyond the school thing, but it's something that I've seen, personally. I've worked at a few clinics where I have seen, it's not common, but I've seen a couple veterinarians, including at my first job, that just I think caused a lot of drama, I guess I should say, by just not showing respect. So and that's one thing that I think, being a veterinarian, it's a tough field. It's a field that it's beyond just animals. So everyone goes in, they love animals. Everyone loves animals. But the key is you got to know that it's not all about just the animals. You're dealing with clientele if you're in a small animal. But with that said, there are other fields you can get into. So some veterinarians, they go into small animal practice, realize that's not for them. It's even after going to vet school, or even doing what I did, volunteering and working, they just get kind of what they call burnt out. And I think those are cases where work-life balance isn't good. So, even in vet school, I think it's important to have, like a school, outside of school balance. I saw a lot of students that got very stressed. And I think part of the problem is they didn't have an outlet. They were always in the school, always studying. So regardless of your situation, make sure you have an outlet. I will let you know, like the past few conferences I've been to, there's usually a talk. It's really sad, but about suicide in the veterinary field. It's high because a lot of veterinarians just care too much and then they just get overwhelmed. So I think it's important that to draw the line between your personal life and your work, and that you don't let those blur too much. And that even goes with school. I had a classmate got divorced in school because school is taking too much of her time from her family. And that can happen even in your profession when you become a veterinarian. So it's really important that you prioritize what's important in your life and don't let veterinary medicine take over your life, whether it be school and regardless of what you do. So, whatever path you choose, but with veterinary medicine, I think more than other fields, you've got to have the, I guess the passion, because it's not a job that really pays you to kind of make up for that if you don't have the love of medicine. I hate to say it this way, but I'm sure there's human doctors that aren't really there for the passion of the work, but they get paid well enough, they stay and do what they do, and I've met students like that, even going through UGA, where I think they were just pushed by their parents to become doctors, not because they wanted to be doctors, but because their family wanted them to have the prestige and the title. As a veterinarian, unfortunately, we don't really get that. I'm okay with it, but you're not going to get the same, I guess, recognition as a doctor as say a physician would. So it's something that I like about the field, because we're all there mostly because we love to care for people and their pets and making sure that they're okay.
Yeah, it's a little more pure intentions, I guess.
It is, yeah. And there's a lot more trust. So
yeah. So Justin, you said you started working swabbing out kennels when you were 15, then you went to UGA for your undergrad.
Yes.
And how serious of a student were you at UGA as an undergrad?
More serious than, say, my roommate that was a business major. Okay. I was up early in the morning doing lab, so a lot heavier course load. So of course I wasn't out partying downtown or drinking. I'm allergic to alcohol anyway, but even I didn't have the time to do that. So I didn't party as much as, say, like my other, I guess, classmates at UGA were doing, because, UGA is a party school. Right. But when you have to study for vet school, it does not really let you slip that much. And as you know, in college, it's hard to recover if you make a bad grade. Right. So it's really important that you stay on top of grades. Yeah. Just to let you know, when I got in, my GPA is probably about a 3.6, which isn't probably going to get me in today. But I think the thing is, I had other things. Like, I was very active in like a couple clubs. Like, I was a treasurer for the biology club. I was active in the pre-vet club. I also spent time, in clinics. And this is going back to even high school. So it just shows that, I've been, but just because you didn't do it in high school doesn't mean you can't start now. Right. The key is just showing them that you have the passion and determination and the, I guess, the willingness to go on your own to pursue your goals. That
you've demonstrated that you're not just writing that in a letter, but you have for years demonstrated that this is what you are going to be doing with your life.
Exactly. So it's something that, when I was an undergrad, I was pretty dead set on vet school, but, I did take a herpetology course, and I didn't have that little moment where I didn't know which way I wanted to go, because I really love herpetology. But at the end of the day, the decision to go to vet school is easy because you have an end point versus if you do a PhD or master's, you don't know when the end point is. It could be 3 years, it could be 6 years. Vet school is 4 years, it's 4 years and you're done. And you could still do other things you like, and you could still be a veterinarian, versus if I were to go into herpetology, I couldn't be a veterinarian. So if you can go to vet school, I'd do it. Just, I think an important aspect too is finances. So I would not recommend going to vet school if you're already in student debt. It's tough because it just piles on because I don't know the exact tuition right now, but when I was in school, it was 15,000 a year plus your living expenses. And it's something that, I had Hope Scholarship that really helped me out where they paid for my undergrad. But I know with these times, they don't have that. This is back in like 2000s, early 2000s. Times are different. But but don't let debt dissuade you. It's just something that going back to quality of life, some vets to make up for their debt are working too much because they got to make that money to pay back.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, I hate to say it, but money does matter.
Yeah.
If you don't have money and you're in debt, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah. We
So,
had a vet come from here in Canton a few years
okay.
ago, and I was really surprised to hear him talk about the average income of a vet versus the
Right.
amount of debt that you can incur
Exactly.
through vet school. And that,
Right.
like you're saying, it's that ratio.
Yes.
And like I know med school is very expensive, but
Right.
like you say, you make a lot of money, so it's good
Exactly.
debt. So you
Right.
have to be careful with that, I guess.
Exactly. And I think, human medicine or even anything that's human related, you're going to make, at least twice as much as the animal side.
Mhm.
So, it's something to really consider.
Mhm.
It's something that I'll be honest, if I were already having to pay for undergraduate, I don't know if I would have gone to vet school. I don't know. It just, I want to make sure that I could get out there and make money, not be already kind of in a hole.
Mhm.
Because as you know, when things like COVID happen, things get worse. And I'm always one of those, I want to be prepared. So I'm not always in a hole.
Mhm.
It's something that even when I was younger, I was saving money. I didn't spend a lot. But sometimes when you go to school, I mean, that kind of takes that savings away from you. So it's something to really think hard about. It's something, if you're good at science, there's a lot of fields that you can make money that's not as stressful,
Mhm.
like pharmacy school. Jobs also have like set hours when you go to pharmacy, So
Yeah.
as a veterinarian, we don't have set hours. We do on the office, but someone shows up when we're about to close, we're not going to turn them away.
Right.
We might be there another hour or two. Zach, this.
Yeah. No,
Your
I think
wife or
I think it's interesting. I think Justin, you and I are at kind of the same place in life as that. While I'm glad I did what I did, I do look around and say like maybe I should have become a dentist, or maybe I should have
right,
went to pharmacy school or something.
right.
So what is the what's the hardest part of your job that sometimes makes you doubt having gone down this road?
The hours, the stress. I mean, you have some days where you're just they're too long, and it just, you barely have a lunch, and at the end of the day, you don't get paid that much for it. So, it's one of those things where the only thing that keeps me happy is I help some people help their pets, and that's what I look at the end of the day, and it makes
Okay.
everything okay for me.
Yeah.
But I also don't have a family that relies on me, so it makes it a little bit easier for me.
Mhm.
I know it's different if, say, if I were married and had kids that were also needing my attention. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle as well as I do right now. It'd be tough because you can't just go home and, you know, be to yourself and be able to kind of have 30 minutes to yourself.
Right.
It's another thing is if you plan to have a family, it is a tough field. And if it's not saying it's impossible, but it's important to keep in mind that work-life balance is tough. I'm going to
Mhm.
say that with veterinary medicine, and there are ways around it. You just got to know how to do it. Talk to your boss. Say if you need more time off, even taking a pay cut may be worth it. It's not all about the money. Life's short, and it's something that, again, if you work in the veterinary field and you volunteer, you will see these things. You'll hear people talking. You'll see the good days, the bad days.
Yeah,
That's
that's
really important.
another important reason to get into that setting so that you
Right.
get, if you're there for a day, one thing, but if you're there for a while, then the vet starts to
Right.
trust you and will
Yes.
relay those things to you.
Right.
And I think that goes for anything. If
Mhm.
you think you want to be a physical therapist, if you want
Right.
to be a
Right.
teacher,
Right.
I think to get the real skinny, it's not a 30-minute Zoom call with Justin. You got to
Right.
be there and
Yep.
doing it. Um,
Exactly.
so um, what can you talk about a project that you've worked on as a vet that you're really proud of? Like one specific thing that just really gives you a lot of energy that you've worked with.
I mean, working with your pine snakes is one of them. And it's
Okay.
just something different.
Uh-huh.
We get to, we see cases where, dogs get sick, they get better. That makes us feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But something different. Like I love snakes. I love herpetology. So
Okay.
it's really neat, like, putting a transmitter in and then seeing you track them and then seeing the results of the study.
Yeah.
Lately, we haven't been able to put as many because we're just so busy, I want to eventually go back to doing more, but right now we're just overwhelmed with COVID. Everyone's bringing their pets in. It's crazy. But, anytime I get to work with something besides a dog or cat,
Oh.
I love dogs and cats. Don't get me wrong, but it's just something different.
Yeah.
So you probably know Jamie, right, Zach? She worked with Brian Sommerfeld. She had
I don't know Jamie, but
she was one of his field technicians. Anyway, her Tegu got really sick, and this was last year, and it turned out to be just impacted, like it was just constipated. And I had to do surgery. I had to go into the colon, which is scary. Lizard's doing fine, but that was probably the highlight of last year's. I got to save that lizard's life, and it was a surgery I'd never done before. And you get into those situations where you just never done it,
pushing
and
yourself, you're growing, you're doing something,
right,
you're learning.
Exactly. And that's what's fun about vet med is you don't have all the things that kind of handcuff the physicians in the human field. You get to do your own medicine.
Oh, okay.
Meaning, if I were a human physician, I'd probably just be general practitioner. I'd never be able to do surgery. As a general practitioner in veterinary medicine, I could do surgery.
Yeah.
I can also do just consulting, and just to let you know, it's a very flexible field. So if you get tired of doing something, you could do something else. I know plenty of vets that got tired of private practice. They're doing consulting, or they do relief work. I mean, they're not doing as much, and then they work other things.
Yeah.
So I know people that, switch to part-time even so they could be more with their family, which, it's something that, if you get overwhelmed with anything, life is not good. So you got to find, again, that balance. And I think that's the most important thing is, if you find yourself where the stress is more than the benefits of your job, whether it be money or happiness, you've got to rethink and say, look, maybe it wasn't the right choice. And sometimes you don't figure it out till after you graduate. I've known people. So that's the thing with life. You think you know what you want, and sometimes it just doesn't turn out like you think it's going to be.
Especially when you're 18, 19 years old, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. And like going back to what you're saying, there are days where I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm going to be honest. It's like, why am I doing this? I'm like overly stressed. But the thing is, it's not every day, and every job is going to have stress. So at the end of the day, you have to, reflect on your day and look at the big picture, and don't let yourself be like, oh, this is the worst job ever. Right. You got to look at the big picture. So if your every day is like your bad day, you need to reconsider. But if it's just once, like a month, or, once in a while, which happens with any job, don't freak out about it. I think it's one of those things. Life is going to have stress. It's going to have obstacles. The key is knowing how to overcome them and not let them overcome you. So, veterinary medicine's like that.
So you said volunteer work experience. One thing that you mentioned to me, and I think this is something that I try to instill in students, is those letters of recommendation.
Right.
It's a matter of building a relationship with somebody that their name will mean something in your application.
Correct.
And so that's another big thing for that.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, so through your volunteering, you can ask the veterinarian if you had a good, relationship with them, or even the staff. I mean, you can have an assistant or technician. It's different than a doctor. I mean, that says something if they respect you. These are all things that just show that, you are who you say you are. It's just another layer of kind of proof of, your experience. So some people might volunteer, but they might not been a good volunteer.
Right.
They might have worked and might have been a poor employee. If you have that letter of recommendation, it kind of lets them know, especially at UGA, where they don't have the interviews, that, hey, this person's okay.
Yeah, and the technicians are probably going to be the ones that know whether you actually work or not, right?
Right. So it is important that you do get those letters of recommendation. And you're not just limited to go to vet school at UGA. There are, there's a Caribbean school
Mhm.
I wouldn't recommend it personally, but I know vets that, are doing well that went to those schools are more expensive. So you're looking at tuition that's twice as much,
Okay.
maybe more because you have to live on an island. There's a couple of
Mhm.
schools on the islands, but if you can get into a vet school in the US, that is going to be your best choice. It's just hard. So apply to many schools, not just one. So
Mhm.
I didn't apply to the Caribbean ones, but I did, UGA, of course, but I applied to Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, LSU. And to let you know, the only one that accepted me was UGA because in state, it's tough. And then I got deferred at LSU. And
Mhm.
again, my grades weren't the best, but it just shows you I spent time at UGA,
Mhm.
and that's a difference. Had I not done that, I might have not ended up in any school or just deferred and waiting at LSU.
Mhm.
So I think the extra did help me. Like I got to know Dr. Divers, who's an exotics veterinarian at UGA.
Yeah.
Still friends with him to this day. He really helped me. And again, he knew I had a passion for reptiles, and it's
Mhm.
not just dogs and cats. So
Yeah.
something different helps. They are looking for large animal vets. So if you do have a passion for large animals, that field is in need of vets
Mhm.
badly.
Yeah.
Versus small animal, they are inundated. They're turning people away.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I just want to have a few minutes if you guys have questions. Princess Aaliyah, Shelby, Olivia, I know that you're not a Reinhardt person, but you are welcome to ask Justin questions. This is a good opportunity for you guys. So, any questions?
Okay, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So going into UGA,
Mm-hmm.
exactly how was the school and things? Like you said that you had so much work compared to your roommate that you had there
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So exactly like how do you like did your time management and like fix yourself up to like go into that career, make sure that you do good in all your classes and be passionate about it.
Well,
And brain freeze. But
right. It's just I'm good at planning, so I think that helps. So I'm one of those that I'd wake up and I'd kind of have a plan of how the day is gonna go, sort of. I mean, I don't let it go. I don't let it be rigid, but I think the key is knowing that, if you need to get something done, you get it done. I procrastinate, everyone procrastinates, but the key is making sure that you could, take on a task and finish it versus like some of these they don't really study that hard. I'm not gonna lie, they're smart, they don't have to study that hard, but when it comes to like anything that's in the medical field, they make you study harder because most of the people that are going to be graduating have lives, whether it be animals or people that depend on them, so they make it a little bit harder. But as long as you have that work ethic and you know how to finish things like you're supposed to, I think you should be fine. I don't know how else to give advice because it's something that it's easy to get distracted. There's a lot of fun things to do in college, and it's important to have fun in college. You only get to do it once. Okay. So don't just study, have fun too. But again, going back to work life, study life balance. Anyone else have any questions? No? Zach, you can, if you guys want to email me, you can, if you think of something else later.
Okay.
I guess I can give it out now, or you could email them my
Yeah,
email
if you
address
want to,
because
I'll
I don't
get
want
it.
to waste time here on
Okay,
that.
I'll get it afterwards, and I'll post it on this forum
Okay.
that has your information there. So,
Okay. All
but
right.
Justin, I really hang in there. I hear you struggling just like the rest of us. It's really stressful
Yeah.
times, and
Yeah. I mean,
you're doing a
yeah.
great job. And hopefully we can get out in the woods soon.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I think we should all be grateful, and we're all here. We're talking.
Yep.
That's the most important thing. And like I said, this is just got like an introduction.
Yeah.
It's something where oh, okay. Are we okay here? Unlimited?
It's okay. Yeah.
It says okay. All right. So as far as I guess, there's 3 clinics I work at. I work at the West location. Right now it's a little tight as far as letting people in to watch because of COVID.
Oh, okay.
Once that gets better, we may be able to let people in to volunteer. It's just a bad time right now, but if you can find a clinic that's not as busy,
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe rural area, which you're kind of on
Yeah.
if you go maybe a little north of
Mhm.
where you are, think about clinics that maybe letting people in. UGA may be tough again because of COVID. I hate this. With
Yeah,
COVID,
right.
it's really limiting how you can go about things. But again, if you're determined, there is
Yeah.
going to be a place that'll take you.
It's that persistence.
Just knock on doors, call,
Mhm.
even just show up at a clinic. I don't, just
Yeah.
call first maybe, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things. If you actually follow through, say, hey, I want to help. I'm just here to help. I'm free work, free labor. I want to learn at the same time. I'm sure a lot of clients will be like, sure, come on in. We can use the help,
Yeah. Yeah.
So just find a way to get your foot in the door. Again, I'll have my contact information shared with you guys, but I don't own the practice. So fortunately, my boss is a friend of mine. He's pretty good about letting things, happen. But again, right now it's not good. I'll tell you that right now. It's just, we're just too busy and there's too many people. But as things get better, I see that changing. So, just go ahead.
Well, thanks, Justin.
You're welcome.
We'll be in touch, and I
Yeah.
appreciate your time. Thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And again, feel free to reach out on email if you have any questions.
Okay.
But just work hard and stay happy. That's a key.
All right.
All right.
And we'll
Stay
see you
healthy,
soon.
stay safe.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.